What's up, everybody? Welcome to Move the Sticks. DJ and Buck with you. Buck, what is going on, man?
Man, not too much, DJ. It's funny, right? So you have all the chaos leading up to the combine, but there's even more chaos post-combine because now you're updating your top 50. I'm tweaking my top fives while also beginning to prepare for some of the shows that we'll do in the month of March, the month of April, and whatever. So it's a lot, but it's fun. And free agency is right on the horizon.
You know, it's funny. I always think about the draft process like it's just a merry-go-round. Like it's the same process every year, the same time. You go to the same places, same all-star games, combine. Like we start the shows the same time. There's a rhythm to it and a flow to it. And this cracked me up today because I had to update my top 50. And so we'll get to that on the episode later this week. But so updating it. So that process, when you're trying to find like the last 5 or so guys to put in your top 50, and there's like 25 candidates that you could easily put in there. And so I tweeted out like, okay, this kind of helps me look at this draft. Like picks, 50 to 75 are going to be really, really good players. And I don't know if they're all that different than the player you're going to get at 45. And like a couple of people said, like, I feel like you say this every year. Then someone actually went back and pulled it up, Buck. I have tweeted almost the exact same thing like 4 times over the last 5 years. And I'm like, there's not even any shame. I'm like, no, I know, because it's this merry-go-round where you go on it. And every time this time of year where I'm trying to crunch in this top 50, I love it when it expands to 150 because then you just throw them all in there and go. But like, you feel like the cutting block there and you're like, man, these are good players that are not cracking this list. And that's why I think it's the scout in us. Like, the top guys are the top guys. We can all kind of agree on that. But the fun of the draft and the guts of the draft and how you win the draft is what you do in the middle of the second round or the middle of the fourth round. That's the guts and the value.
Yeah, no, it's funny, right? So it's a little mix, right? So we try not to get overly swayed by the results of the combine, but the combine will make you go back and look at some of the guys and say, hey, man, did I see him right? So, for instance, Malachi Lawrence was at the East-West Shrine Bowl. DJ, I'm going to be honest with you. Like, we didn't talk about him much on the broadcast. We didn't talk about him much throughout the week. I'm looking back at my notes. I didn't hear the coaches talk a lot about him, but then you see him pop whatever he popped at the combine, like 4.52, 40-inch vertical, all this. You go back and you look at the one-on-ones. You're like, man, I wonder why we didn't talk about him more. He's
in my top 50
in the conversation. I know, like DJ, just in the conversations, like we didn't have those conversations or whatever. And some of that is influenced by the fact, like, guys playing in games, guys not playing in games or whatever. But it's just interesting to go back in. You know how you document your notes and you go back and you're like, man, like we didn't have a lot of conversation on this guy. But now here he is. You talk about him being in your top 50. I'm writing a thing up where I'm like, all right, man, like this dude is in the first 2 days. He's coming off the board.
He ain't getting out of this other day too. No chance. But he's one of those guys where you watch him, you haven't heard about him at all. So you watch him and like you give him a grade where you're like, I like this guy. Like he's kind of my guy. Like I'm going to put a good grade on him. And then you see him go through the process and you're like, hold up, I think I'm too low on this guy. Like I thought I was planting my flag and it turns out I wasn't even remotely close to where I needed to be. So after that, I went back and watched. I did the same thing. Now you can't. I had turned mine in. On I turned it in Wednesday night. So. And you get back Monday night, like there's not enough time to go back through all these guys and, try and rework it. So the good thing is we got a lot of time. We're in early March, drafts end of April. There's time to kind of sort those out as as we get closer to it. And trust me, I'm talking to teams all the time and there's swings on their list as well as they start to really hone in and do more work on certain players. Like I'll give you a little, behind the scenes on one of the decisions I had to make in the top 50, which was, okay, I like Malachi Fields. I liked him on tape. He had a solid Senior Bowl. Had an unbelievable catch in the practices there. It was solid. He ran low 4.6s. So, look, I'm not going to crush him for that. But then it caused you to go back. So I go back and I'm like, okay, am I seeing the suddenness and the quickness? I'm looking for it now, and I'm looking for it. So I said, okay, I still really like him, but I have Jeremy Bernard from Alabama who I have good notes on. And now he comes in and he's a little bit bigger than I thought he would be. 6'1". He's 206 pounds. He runs in the high 4.4s. And so I'm looking at him going, okay, well, that was kind of my only question. And I still don't think he has that elite top gear, but I'm like, they're close enough where that's going to break the tie. So Jeremy Bernard's in and Malachi Fields slides out. Like that's kind of how it works.
But here's the thing we always go through, because I'm looking at my notes on Malachi Fields, and it reads like I love him, right? Like watching the tape, I love everything. Acrobatic catches, win 50-50 balls, natural X receiver. Watched him do it at UVA and Notre Dame. Like there's a lot to like. Like just ball skills are ridiculous, everything. And I'm writing down like, man, wide receiver 2, day 1, polished, experienced, everything. And then a performance like that sometimes can make you waver a little bit. But man, more times than not, the mistakes that I've made is when someone that I'm really on, I come off of for whatever reason. I think he's a really good player. And I just know the buzz from everybody, you included, him at the Senior Bowl was like, hey, man, this dude is a guy. And I think after it settles, I think it'll probably rekindle the week or two leading up to the draft. Like, hold up. Yeah. I punished him. You sat in timeout for a little bit.
Yeah.
Now I'm going to bring you back out. You can go, come on back.
No,
you can go play with the kids.
It 100% happens. So, I mean, he went from literally, I think he was 45 to 51. Yeah. So he went from the last one in to the first one out. So who knows? At the end of the day, he could find his way back into that mix. But he's a good player.
I'm mad at you. I'm mad at you, Malachi.
Yeah, you made me look bad,
you got to sit in timeout.
You made me look
time out, and then we may bring you back and let you play with the kids right before the draft.
I mean, look, there's a lot of good options there, a lot of good players there, but it's just kind of interesting going through that process. And as you look at it and going, okay, man, I'm going to reward somebody for, if it's close, I'm going to reward somebody who's acing the tests throughout the process. So I gave Jeremy Bernard a little love there. But today we are going to talk some trades that took place, break those down a little bit. Then we will go back through. We did the offensive review from the combine. We'll do the defensive review of some guys who popped and helped themselves. So trades. Let's go first of all. Chiefs, Trent McDuffie to the Rams for a first this year, which is 29 overall, their second first round pick, a 5, a 6, and a 27 third. So nice little package there for the Rams to give up. Going towards the Chiefs, they give up on Trent McDuffie, who's still, I think he's 25 years old, 2 Super Bowls, can play inside, outside, smart, tough. He reunites with Jimmy Lake, who was his head coach at Washington. He's a secondary coach for the Rams. They're making their push. I think it makes a lot of sense for all parties involved, and I think your buddy's to blame, Buck. I really do. I think if Dave Merritt wasn't so dang good at coaching and developing young secondary players, they wouldn't have the confidence to move on from a 25-year-old stud like Trent McDuffie. But they've done this a bunch with secondary players because they're so good at identifying them and him specifically of developing those guys.
Yeah, and that speaks to Dave Merritt and Steve Spagnuolo's consistency and continuity because they've been together for so long. They kind of know what fits in that system, and it's worked. Let's talk about this first from the Rams thing. And look, there's something about the Rams that I do admire in terms of like their guts and gumption to go after what they believe in, right? And so Les Snead has put the shirt away, F them picks, but I feel like sometimes he needs to bring it back just to like show you on the occasion, hey man, we still are here, we still believe in this. They are not afraid to trade for good players. I mean, we've seen them do this time and time again. I mean, I think they did this with Marcus Peters in Kansas City way back or whatever. You bring up that connection with Jimmy Lake and Trent McDuffie, and I think about how good Trent McDuffie was. And look, he was great in Kansas City, but all the things that he did at UW, this is really knowing the player and knowing how he fits into the system. And I also think this is the Rams looking at the combine, seeing all those guys go through the drills and movements, and being
He's better than all those guys. He's better than all of them.
Being able to weigh the pros and cons of, bottom of the first round pick versus Trent McDuffie. Whoever we get here is not going to be what this guy is. This guy's young, in his prime. Hey, let's fork up the cash. Let's give up the picks and get a guy that we know is going to be true. And I still wouldn't be surprised to see them double down on the position given the struggles in the postseason.
If you look at the NFL season, like it's a 400-meter race, like the Rams are very good at knowing when to drop the hammer and go. Like they will go, they will let it loose. And everybody goes, man, I think they might be kicking. Are they kicking too early? And no, they've been able to time that up, man. They've been able to time it up and they go for it. And they had the resources, and that's why it didn't make sense to me when there was chatter about them taking a quarterback of the future. I'm like, the future is now, man. Like, this is go time. It's win time. They are this close. They are a drop punt away potentially from being in a Super Bowl. So it made all the sense in the world for them to be aggressive and make a move there. And now I think where they're sitting with their first round pick, where they're located, I think they make an offensive move there and gets even some more firepower for Stafford. So I think they're in a great spot, and I wouldn't be surprised if free agency, if you saw them go, get something else aggressive and get something done. They're making their push.
I feel like, man, there used to be a time when we were scouts, man, it was rare that someone would trade, let alone trade a first round pick and some other picks. Like everyone would hoard them because we wanted to keep them. And the more we're in this of late, man, people are not afraid to trade for what they need. And I think that aggressiveness comes from not only our peers being involved, but just seeing the way of the world and how, hey, man, let's make this run right now. And even though we like to think about 3 and 5 year plans, DJ, honestly, man, every year is a right now year. Like that's what we're seeing, like particularly coming off of the heels of the Seahawks and the Patriots quickly turning around and becoming Super Bowl teams. I think people are operating with more of an aggressive mindset, and that's resulting in these trades and people leaning on what they know about these players that they're acquiring. I like it.
Yeah. How do you think you wake up if you're Arizona right now and you got the Super Bowl champion Seahawks? The Rams are probably the second best team in football. I think we would all agree with that. And they're going for it. They're going to be aggressive. There's talk that Seattle could be aggressive. They got money to spend. So those two teams, and then you still got San Francisco when they're healthy and get Bosa back and all their guys back, Fred Warner and company. You got to deal with them. And by the way, your quarterback, you don't have a quarterback right now. Like they're in a tough spot in that division.
They're in a tough spot. And we didn't talk about this, but I do want to get your opinion, right? Because when Kyler Murray is released, and there's a lot of conversation about the Sam Darnold thing and whatever. I just want to get your take on it because we haven't talked about it. And this is someone who was a number 1 overall pick, someone who was immensely talented. First 3 years were great. Last 3 years, 4 years, injuries and stuff have impacted him. What's your thoughts on Kyler Murray and the bounce back potentially?
I think that they're similar yet different. I think similar in that they're high picks. It didn't, go the way they exactly wanted it to go. But I would say there was always a belief in Sam Darnold as a worker, leader, intangibles. That's why everybody loved him, because he had all that stuff. There was the question of, can he not turn the ball over? Can he not panic? Can he not have those frenetic moments? Like there was on-field concern of whether he was going to get to his ultimate talent. Like we knew he had talent, but there was still the on-field question marks. I feel with Kyler, like the on-field stuff, can you make the throws? Can you do this? Can you play at a high level? He's done that. He has more performance-based, pluses at this point in his career than when Sam ended up, even after, Minnesota. I would say you look at kind of the entirety of Kyler. The Kyler thing was he going to, was the whole thing going back to the contract? Is he going to study? Is he going to work? Is he going to do what you need to do all that other stuff off the field to take you onto the field to be successful? So to me, I think Sam landed with the right place to get him right football-wise. I think Kyler needs to land with the right place with the right voice to get the other stuff lined up to match up with what he is talent-wise.
There's no doubt, despite the physical stature, right, the substandard height and all of that, there's no doubt that he's talented enough to be one of the better quarterbacks in the league. We've seen him play at a level where you're like, man, this dude is really talented. But I think more than ever, it is really important that he picks a spot where he respects the voice that's the leader of the team. And that the guy who is driving the offense and maybe the team understands him and has the ability to do that gentle push-pull thing when it comes to, I need more, but I love you. I need more, but I still love you. Because I think that is very important. Just in knowing the kid and being around him, I think there has to be that mutual respect where he knows that you care about him. You're in his corner, but you can tell him the truth and say, nah, that's not good enough. The way that you came in today, your notes, whatever, it's not good enough. Franchise quarterbacks have to do more. So it'd be interesting to see, and I do know this, the prideful athlete that has been dismissed is the athlete that's the most dangerous. And so this is the crossroads for Kyler Murray. Either he's going to be what we've always thought he could be, or he'll never be that. Because if this doesn't motivate him, nothing will ever get that next level out of him.
Here's my question, and you know him better than I do, and I've obviously followed him throughout his whole career, and he was top one.
No, he's not. No, he's not going to the Dodgers. He's not going to the Dodgers. He still wants to.
Yeah, funny. So I can't believe I have to deal with this again for another whole year. Sasaki can't get anybody out, so there's also that. But no, I'm wondering, like, we kind of look at the obvious ones where there's an opening. Like you were handed the job is yours. Is Kyler wired enough to say, you know what, like, this is a better team over here, and I know they have their guy that they kind of like. I'll beat him out. Like, I'll go in there and beat him out, be on a better team, and off we go.
Yeah, that's interesting. So,
because to me, like, people have talked about the jobs that seem to be open. Like Miami seems to be open. You look at, well, the Jets. That's going to be, you walk in, you're the starter. Minnesota has been talked about. If he goes there, I mean, the presence of JJ McCarthy is not going to change that. But I did see somebody. I mean, I think Atlanta likes Penix, but does he look at that and say, "Let me go play with all those dudes. I'll go beat Penix out. He comes back healthy. It doesn't matter. I'll be better than him."
I don't.
And off I go.
I don't think a guy who has been celebrated as the best high school player in Texas school football history of all time, I don't think he even looks at who the starting quarterback is.
Yeah.
And then, I don't. So that is an interesting one. I'm going to give you one. And look, this is far off, but relationships matter. So Kyler Murray had his best success under who? Cliff Kingsbury. Cliff Kingsbury is the assistant head coach for who? The Rams. I think Jimmy Garoppolo is free right now or not. I think he's free agent.
Yeah, he's up. He's a free agent. There's talk of him going to replace Kyler in Arizona.
Right. So let's just think about the long-term play. And we don't know how long Sean McVay is going to coach, whatever. But, man, can you imagine if he took a redshirt year to just kind of like, let me work through, let me get my stuff, let me get right.
He did it in college.
Be the heir apparent
behind Baker.
And, just think about that for a moment, because the advocate in the building, Kingsbury, depending on what their relationship would be interesting. I also think, look, we talked about Minnesota and KOC and what he could do or whatever. The Atlanta thing to me is really intriguing, because you can't tell me in that division that's wide open, he couldn't be an impact player at the next level. I think the thing would be, the $1 million question is, what does Matt Ryan think about the way that Kyler Murray reportedly worked? How would that impact him? Because I don't know if you can change, like, when that narrative gets out there, well, I don't know if you can change that perception whenever you walk into the building.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, that's going to be interesting. I just think, golly, go back to the Michael Vick days. That I think that, I don't know. I know Penix can spin it, but this is
he's a better
player.
He's a much better player.
He's electric.
Motivated.
I think the city would embrace him. I think he would be a star there.
Motivated. That's a good one, ZJ.
That's the one that makes the most sense. Anyways, that was a good discussion there. Let's get to one other trade here. Bears, they trade DJ Moore and a 5th this year to the Bills for a 2026 second-round pick. A second-round pick in this year's draft for DJ Moore. I was shocked they were able to get that.
Yeah, no, I mean, like, some of this is desperation, but let's also understand this. We talk about relationships and how it matters. Brandon Beane spent a ton of years with the Carolina Panthers. So the information and intel that they got, wait a minute, was Joe Brady the OC when DJ Moore was there? I would have to check that, because I would wonder.
Yeah, I think he was. Yeah.
Okay, so that makes sense. So you begin to get that. You begin to have a true number one receiver. So now the pecking order for everybody else is more in line with their talents. And this is a move where you're Buffalo, man, the only thing that we're playing for is the next step. They've been in championship games and all that. The next step is what happens. And so you got to have some right now players. This is a right now move for the Buffalo Bills. And for the Bears, you knew that offense was getting crowded. Like DJ, they were making accommodations to keep DJ Moore involved. But let's be honest, all of the talent that they had, not saying that he wasn't a vital part of it, but they were good without him. And this, to me, is the Bears being like, yeah, we're good. We can take the training wheels off our young guys and let them go. Roma Dunze and the others. I think this is a great win for both teams, but particularly the Bears, as they can add some more firepower to their defense.
I also think that sometimes a smart thing to do is to look at your weak spots in terms of, how you evaluate some players. I mean, I was in Baltimore. We couldn't, for the life of us, get the receiver.
Couldn't draft.
We tried. We kept taking receivers. It didn't work out. So what did we do? We said, forget that. We'll get known commodities. You go out there and you get Derek Mason. You go get Anquan Bolden. You go get Steve Smith. Like, they've done that throughout. Now, they've drafted Zay Flowers, but still Zay Flowers is kind of one hit amongst a lot of other misses. So I think Buffalo's sitting there going, look, Khalil Shakir is a nice player. They hit on him. Good player. Keon Coleman hasn't worked out. You can go back. You got to go back. Like Gabe Davis, solid player at the position, but they haven't knocked it out of the park at the wide receiver spot. So I think it's a little bit of an overpay, but I think where they are right now in win now mode, they can't roll the dice and go, man, I hope we hit on this pick. Like DJ Moore is a made man. You know exactly who he is.
Yeah, but look, remember this: their best and most productive receiver during that Josh Allen tenure was a veteran that they picked up, Stephon Diggs, via trade. So you think about DJ Moore coming over via trade, people in the building knowing who he is as a player and person. That helps. Joe Brady building offensive game plans around him before, knowing how to get him the ball and knowing how that personality and skill is going to mesh with Josh Allen is really important. So yeah, DJ, I think one of the things that we do know that's true for great evaluators and team builders is you got to be honest with yourself in terms of your blind spots. And for whatever reason, the organization has had a blind spot at wide receiver with the draft. Why not try and do something differently? Let's try and get a veteran that's established, a known commodity, as you said, to see if we can get this thing up and going.
So now Chicago picks 25, 57, and 60. So they've got 3 top 60 picks. They are in position. Like I know as we're recording this, there's talk. Like, is Max Crosby going to get traded? Is he out there? Is he available? They got plenty of ammunition, with picks that they could put together to go try and make that happen. If they feel like that's kind of the key piece, go do it. I mean, we've seen the Rams look at their window and go for it. You're in a better spot in Chicago. You got a quarterback on a rookie deal. You can swallow a big number. So they could go out there and be really aggressive with their newfound capital in the draft.
They can. And I think that's how you should be. I think you should be aggressive in this. The one thing, like when a conference is wide open and you can see a path to being able to get there, you have to go all in. And this is a team that is so close, I would say way ahead of schedule. But the time is now. We don't know how long these windows stay open. Let's go and figure out a way to get it done.
Let's jump through some of these hoops here on the defensive guys and how they performed at the combine. Maybe 1 or 2 names that help themselves by position. I'll start us out here. I'll go corner. And this is a guy who got into my top 50 after this because his tape was good. Solid, not great all-star performance, but man, just watching him in person, watch him move around, getting a chance to see how he was built. Chris Johnson from San Diego State, he jumped in that mix for me. 6'003", so 6 foot and 3/8, 193 pounds, ran 4.4 flat. That was the question, was the speed. He more than answered that question. I thought he had a phenomenal field workout, but he was a corner I thought that elevated his stock with his performance. Yeah,
DJ, I'm with you on that, right? So I'm going back and I'm looking at my notes, and the one thing that I had down for him, I had questions about his recovery speed. I loved everything: talented technician, press, off, back pedal, turn, transition, ball skills, tackler, all that. I wondered about the recovery speed. Now, after watching him work out and watching how he looked in those drills, even though people say, hey, those position drills, what do you get out of? In corners, I think you could tell a lot in terms of his transitions. Yeah. He was super smooth and fluid. And in fact, in my notes, I have down Tre'Davious White, because I remember Tre'Davious White coming out of LSU, who was a technician who played for a long time in the league. Man, this guy reminds me of just a solid corner that we're going to put out there, and he's going to play for a decade in a system that fits his skill set.
Let me give you 4 other names and tell me if any of those guys stood out to you. I'll give you 4 or 5 names. I thought it was a good group of corners here. Jalen Kilgore from South Carolina, who can play as a safety, can play in the nickel. He can move him around. I love him. For teams looking for a big nickel, he's 6'1", 3/8", 210 pounds, ran 4.4 flat, had a good workout. Dalen Everett from Georgia, the whole question again with him was speed. Well, he's 6'1", 1/4", 196 pounds. He runs 4.38, which was a huge time. Malik Muhammad from Texas, really solid, good player. He ended up being 6 foot, 182 pounds, 4.42, good workout. Chandler Rivers from Duke, he ran 4.4 flat as a day one nickel. Traden Stukes from Arizona, he pulled as he was finishing. He ran 4.33. Those are just some of the names to me that I thought, guys that really helped themselves with good workouts.
Yeah, I'm even add to it, DJ, because you talk about all that group or whatever, and we talk about the corner group, and I'm going to say, man, I was just so impressed with watching them move. And I know everyone talks about the 40 times, but to me, I got so much out of watching the drills, the turns, the transitions, and those things. And whether they're outside guys or nickel guys, I think they're terrific. To me, I got a lot of clarity coming out of this on a Colton Hood, right?
Yeah, he had a great day.
Colton Hood, who's someone who has been up there. You look around in the list or whatever, you put him up there, but then the numbers matching the game tape to me, I was like, okay, there we go. Toolbox, versatility, footwork, fluidity, all of that. Like, I'm on 40-inch vertical, 10-5 broad. Like, yes, I can go with him. You already mentioned Chris Johnson showing up or whatever. Another guy that we talk about, Avion Terrell.
He had a great field workout. He just didn't run a 40, but he had a phenomenal field workout.
DJ, I wrote A+ footwork. Hands, ball skills, polished. Looked like he's been doing it his entire life. I really like this cornerback class. And I feel like we talk about these guys every year. The thing that stood out, not only the fluidity, but man, for the first time in a long time, everybody that I write in my notebook is darn near over 6 foot tall. And at a time when I remember everyone saying, man, if we just get people 5'11" or taller, the evolution of the 6 foot corner is something that we have to rave about, because that is exactly how we need to match up with these wide receivers on the outside.
Yeah, that's a good group, man. The safety position I thought was really good. I had some good names there. I'll give you the floor on that one. Anybody that jump out to you?
So naturally, people will talk about like Thieneman from Oregon. They'll talk about Bud Clark. I got to tell you, DJ, like, he didn't run fast, but the guy that I'm beginning to think will have a future, make a bunch of plays, AJ Hawley from LSU.
AJ Halsey, I'm in.
Halsey, like
he's my fourth safety, Buck. Like, I'm in on him.
A DJ. I just rate fast enough, explosive, ball skills, and a big hitter. Man, this dude just gets it. And I can't quantify it. There's nothing I can tell you, but when I see it, I'm like, yep, that's one. That's one of those guys that we're going to talk about, always been around, always making plays. He is a really good player, and 4.54 to me is just fast enough.
Yeah, no, he was fine. I think he ended up even being a little tick faster, Buck. I have 4.52. 4.52, almost just under 6 foot, 215 pounds. And ran 4.52. I'm looking at my notes, like 3 picks, excellent eyes, can anticipate middle of the field, drive. You watch the Florida game, drives on a ball, picks it off. A&M, you can see his eyes and instincts, playmaking ability in the end zone, picked off a ball, physical form tackler. He shoots his gun. The question was just like, he didn't have elite, AA and COD, but he moved around well at the combine. And a guy that's 215 pounds that can be a force player and can play in the dead middle of the field, like that's a good thing to have.
Yeah, DJ, he bounced around like Houston, New Mexico, or whatever, but 200 plus tackles and 15 turnovers responsible for. I mean, look, man.
As we like to say, if you're into that.
I mean, if you like good players, this is one that stands out. Like this DB group.
It's good, man.
Yeah, it's just solid all around. Just really, really solid. Like really impressed. And I'll tell you the revelation for me, like in recent study, Keith Abney from Arizona State.
Yeah,
the roller skating king,
yes,
3-time national champ. Like, hey, yeah, look, I like it. And so as the league is evolving, we talk about whatever day 2, early day 3, there are going to be some really good guys that come off the field, come off the board that are going to play for a long time and make contributions.
Yeah, let's get to the linebacker position. I thought this linebacker workout was phenomenal. I know, like, the linebackers caught the ball as well as any linebacker group I could ever see. Obviously, Sonny Styles there at the very top. He put on a show. Anthony Hill Jr. from Texas. I mean, he's got a chance to go in the first round, man.
I don't think enough people talk about him.
I know.
Like, I really don't. 6'2", 238, 4.51, 40, 37 vert, 10.5 broad, 1.58, 10 split. And when you watch him, man, if you like big, fast, and physical, like,
no question,
he shows up. I mean, like, for whatever reason, he kind of flies under the radar. But, man, really solid. Man,
it wouldn't shock me at all if he ended up being the second linebacker. If he goes ahead of C.J. Allen, it wouldn't shock me at all. Both those guys, I think, are going to have a shot of going back a one. Like, they're both really good players. And then I had no choice but to put Jacob Rodriguez in my top 50. I put him at 45 out of Texas Tech. I mean, he ran 4.57. He's 6'2 3/8, 231 pounds. The stats, he's like the stat stuffer extraordinaire. He's got 13 career forced fumbles, 4 picks this year. Has a quarterback background. He sees things. He shoots his gun. He's got a good blitzer. He just he's excellent in zone coverage, zone dropper. He's not some of the stop start stuff. And man, like, okay, that's his glitch. But at some point in time, Buck, it's like you run out of reasons why you're not having the guy in there. Like,
it's funny, right? So pre-combine notes, ball hawk always around the action, A+ instincts and awareness, diagnose and go, plays at warp speed, right? The biggest thing was size, speed, ? Plays bigger and faster than his physical dimensions, special teams demon. Then you watch him.
Yeah.
Move around. He puts together the measurements. You're like,
yeah,
good player. Now I really can sell him in the meeting room. You talk about in your top 50. Yeah, this dude goes top, middle of the second round. He's going.
Yeah.
I mean, he's a fantastic football player.
Kyle Lewis continued his ascension. We've talked about him a bunch on here before. You've talked about him as the safety, as a linebacker. He's a football player. He's really freaking good. He ran 4.53. A little undersized. Don't really care. He'll find his way on there. Heineke had a good workout, 4.62. Justin Jefferson, I thought, would run faster. They were talking to me like he could run the high 4.3s. He ended up running high 4.5. So he ran 4.57. I think he'll test faster at his pro day. But a good player. So, I mean, then it's a deep group, solid group of linebackers. I think maybe coming into it and coming out of it, that was probably the one position where I was like, okay, that group is much better than I even thought coming into it. Like there's more depth there.
Yeah, no, a lot more depth. A lot of good guys. Jake Golday from Cincinnati is another one. Big, strong, physical. There are a ton of guys. And it's funny, I had a conversation with, he won't mind, Ty Bowles as we were walking across and we were talking, and he was talking about the linebacker group. Like, man, there's some guys. There's some guys this year. There's some guys that can play. Everyone is talking about Sonny Styles and those guys, but just the depth at linebacker, the off-ball linebacker, that is a huge thing. And being able to get those linchpin pieces on the second level, critical to being able to play elite defense.
No question. All right, let's get to some of these other positions here. Let's get to the D lineman. Edge rushers, Buck. We talked about Malachi Lawrence a little bit earlier. Absolutely helped himself with a phenomenal workout. He was flying. Super, super explosive. Anybody else on that edge rush group that jumped out at you?
Man, so like when I look at the edge rushers, like we already talked about Malachi Lawrence. I'm gonna say this because I felt like there's two things. I felt like I was the low guy on David Bailey heading into the combine because maybe because he doesn't wear tape or wristbands or whatever. Like he just
all natural, baby.
There's no flash, but like to me, I even wrote down, man, he was even better than expected in terms of the way he moved around in space. I think the guy that a lot of people are gonna have questions on, and it's not due to the physical like athleticism stuff. Cassius Howell.
Yeah.
I think
30-inch arms, Buck. 30 and change.
Yeah, the 30-inch arms. But DJ, 158, 10 time. Tied with, guys who are the fastest coming off the ball. Vert and broad jump that. But when I just think about the quickness, and then I watched the tape, DJ, like his get off is ridiculous. And the way that he moves at angles and those things, trying to find the sweet spot for where he comes off the board. Like
I dropped him down a little bit. I mean, spoiler.
Yeah, so I
want to have this question. So I dropped him to 28. So I'm still in the first round. But I mean, Buck, they were telling me, I was hearing stuff that he might run in the 4.4s. So and I know obviously the 10 times excellent, but there was talk that it'd be even better than what it was. So to me, it was like you got to kind of be exceptional to kind of make up for some of that. Like Bain, I didn't even move Bain much up my list because I knew he was short arm going into it. He knows how to play with it. His power, he overcomes it. How there are times where I see he does get swallowed and can't get free. Like he's got to win. We always say it, right? You got to win. He's got to win early. Like he's got to win early in the down. So here's a question: if we were in the draft room, and this is kind of stuff I guess we'd probably be doing on Path here in a little bit, but when I was putting this thing together, I ended up Mesidor. Okay, I thought Mesidor. I was doing Mesidor Howell. Okay, I'm like Mesidor. I know exactly what I'm buying there. Like I know even though he's a little older, I'm like I think I've seen that really play well at the NFL level. So I'll go Mesidor. This is the one that I went back and forth on numerous times, but I ended up flipping it. So I had Cassius Howell over T.J. Parker. I ended up putting T.J. Parker over Cassius Howell.
Interesting.
He's bigger, heavier. He's got, look, he's had a really, really good 24. 25 wasn't as good, but he finished up strong against South Carolina. Great Senior Bowl week. He ran 4.68. He's longer. He's younger. I think he's younger. I have to go look at the age, pull that up again. I believe he's younger. So I was kind of looking at all those things, and I'm like, I think that profile, I just feel like I'm a little more sure there. I feel like I trust TJ Parker a little bit more there.
Yeah, interesting, right? Like, so you just talk about like all the Clemson guys had a disappointing 2025 season. New system, different system, Tom Allen, all those things. TJ Parker, super speedy pass rusher, great instincts and awareness, first step quickness, closing burst, stands up. You talk about the size difference and those things. It literally comes down to, are we cool with prototypes, or are we willing to go a little off the grid and take an outlier? Normally, on average, outliers are outliers for a reason, and they typically don't do what we want them to do because they're outliers. And that's the debate. And you really have to be confident in the system being able to showcase Howell's ability to get to the passer versus Howell or Parker being able to win just on their own accord with their traits.
Yeah.
And that's a decision.
Buck, I just pulled it. So, how about this? Like, would this surprise you when you look at this? Like, TJ Parker at a 1.6, 110, Cassius Howell's 1.58. TJ Parker jumped 34 inches, Howell 32 and a half. TJ Parker 10 broad, Howell 9.7. Like, those are good numbers, man. He's better outside, just being a little bit behind him in the 10 was more dynamic in the explosives. Yeah.
It's a better athlete. And for the people listening in, like DJ and I tell you, like normally in meeting rooms, when you have guys that have similar grades, we go to these things, right? Trying to be the tiebreaker, like in those dimensions and those things. And so that will tip the scales of balance in Parker's favor in several meeting rooms. It's such a close debate, but man, the arm length matters. And then when, I don't know if Jack or Tony put that out there about only two guys, first rounders with 30-inch arms.
Yeah.
You
I'm already making one exception with Bain. I'm like, maybe that was what it was. I was like, I'll make one exception, but I can't.
Because then we're saying, hey, two guys are going to be the exception, and it just happened to be in the same draft class.
What are the odds?
The odds normally don't roll in your favor.
The one guy that I've got a clump of guys I want to look at, and I just updated the 50, so this will have to be in the next one. But like, there's one guy, we always talked about this. I did it with Jalen Hurts that one year where I'm like, it was the last update. I'm like, I won't be able to live with myself if I don't have this guy in my top 50. Maybe it doesn't work, but there's just something in my gut saying he's too competitive. He's too tough. The wiring's too good. Like, he's going to make it. He's going to do so. I ended up putting Hurts in at the end, and I'm glad that I did. But every year there's a guy like that. This year, the guy I don't have in my top 50, I've never had him in my top 50, but I kind of just, the more I've seen him doing other guys, and then when I hear him talked about the wiring, all that stuff, I'm like, man, Gabe Akis, to me, I think he's going to be a guy for me that I'm going to have to. He's too tough. He's too competitive. Like, he's the one for me that I want to just go drill down more. But I'm going to tell you right now, he's probably, when it's all said and done, just so I can sleep well at night on draft. During the draft, I'll probably get him in there.
DJ, team captain, 27 career sacks, 7 forced fumbles, consistent over multiple years. Power, outworks, outlasts, rip move, long arm swipe, has a toolbox, versatile inside, outside, 3-point, 2-point, explosive first step, high effort, energy player. DJ, those guys rarely miss. Now, they may never be the top end, but they don't miss if they play hard, and playing hard is a skill. I haven't, like, the grade ends up being like a second round grade, but yeah, DJ, like, Big Ten leader in sacks. All of these things that we talk about, like, you just kind of checking these boxes. Man, it's hard to get in the top 50. That's all I say. It's hard to get in the top 50. Everybody can't make it. When you put a nice cut down thing like that, it's hard to get in.
He didn't do anything. He didn't work out, and I don't think he'll be an elite tester, but he's just a good player. So anyways, that's some of the struggles we have in the draft room. We give you a little sneak peek there. DTs, Buck, what jumps out to you with that group?
Caleb Banks is the one that jumps out. And he jumps out for two things, right? He jumps out for the flashing, right? Because I have down biggest boom or bust prospect in this thing. 100%. Because, man, the booms are there. Like, the flashes that you see on tape back in 2024, the flashes that you saw at the Senior Bowl, the measurements and the dimensions that he shows up in Indy, all those things you love. 6'6", 327, whatever he ran the 40 in, 5 something. Like, all that is 504, 32 vert, 9.6. But then he doesn't finish the workout because there's a cleat issue with his foot. And so it's exactly who he's always been
for you. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's exactly who he's always been. And so you're like, what do we do with this? But talented as they come, love the athleticism and the phenom and what he could be. It's just, I just don't know what he's going to be.
Yeah. I just haven't been able to talk myself into it on him. It's just that thing. And you talked about the boomer bust. That to me, like that, I've just put him in the 30s. I just feel, to me, I want to have somebody else be my first pick, and I'll have him be my second pick, and hopefully I hit big. But at worst, I've already got my first pick in the barn there. I think all these DTs, I don't really have any of them as first round guys. I think there's more buzz around the league on Peter Woods than anybody else to
he's
go
talented,
up in there.
Man. He's talented. Like he's just really, really gifted. I compared him to Christian Wilkins in terms of his athleticism and ability.
He just lost so much weight. Like he played 20 pounds. He's 20 pounds lighter at the combine than he was in the spring last year.
Yeah.
So, and I saw him get thrown around a little bit this year. So I don't know. That was one. Some of these guys, I think, I got to get quicker. I got to get faster. I got to lose weight. I'm like, I kind of liked him better in 24 when he was a little heavier. But
yeah, give me your take on Zane Durant.
Yeah, Zane Durant's super explosive, man. He's ran a stupid time at 4.75. I have him as my 7th DT with a 61, so it kind of puts him in that like third round range. He's got quick feet, can wrap around blocks, he can really close and finish. He's got a lot of twitch, which you saw there. He was good at Senior Bowl. He's great on games. He's just his game is going to be all predicated on speed and quickness. And if you're a attacking front, like I was trying to think of. Who the attacking fronts have passed around Sheldon Rankins over the years? Like he just kind of goes from one team to the next.
He's been that guy. Yeah.
Yeah. Sheldon Rankins is kind of one that sounds similar to me when I look at his stuff.
Yeah. Urgency is there. Violence is there. He's great on the move. Fast hands, fast feet, one gap system fit, all of that, right? Size is a bit of an issue because 6'1", 290 is interesting in terms of where do we play. He can get pinballed in there. But then I think about the move, right? If we get him on the move and he's playing and attacking edges, he creates disruption. And I'm trying to figure out how many teams utilize that. And does that make him a rotational player or is he a starting player?
Inside,
yeah.
I just think of the attack teams that are that jet front, 4-man attack fronts. That's Saleh. That's Kasurik with the 49ers. Let's see. Who else? Houston, the Texans. The Texans run that front.
Yeah. So like you're right. It's funny. Just follow Sheldon Rankin's career, and you can find that guy. But yeah, DJ, he is.
The Jets used to be that. Yeah. Solid.
Yeah. He's interesting because to me, like I have in my notes, like he's right on that border, like right second, third round. But a lot of it depends on what the team needs. But his performance was great. I mean, he showed up. Did his 4.75 40 is stupid for a defensive tackle. 33.5-inch vertical, all that. He's interesting. And he's interesting just to kind of watch and see how he ends up playing.
Yeah, I really like Grayson Halton from Oklahoma. He ran 4.82 at 293 pounds, almost 6'3". He's got 6 sacks, so he's got production. You see the get off when you watch him. He can bowl. He's got power. He's got explosive hands. He can stack and stun in the run game. So I had him and Durant literally right next to each other. One ran 4.75, one ran 4.82. Grayson Halton just a little bit bigger, but to me, those guys are right there behind that first clump of guys. Lee Hunter, I know one thing, Buck, he can't jump. That's for sure.
21 inches.
Holy moly.
Boy,
that was tough. But he ran well. For his size, he ran fine. He ran a 5.18. You look at his 10, wasn't bad for a guy who's big and long arms, everything else. So Banks was a 1.76 and he was a 1.79. And I just saw, like with him, as a football player, like I just go to that Oregon game. I never saw Banks put a whole game together like that. And then I saw him go to the Senior Bowl and compete. I'm like, I get it. He can't jump. I know that, but he's got lateral range. He runs, he plays hard. He's got kind of a little different body type, but I stuck with him as my top DT, but Buck, I mean, I have him 34 for Hunter, 35 for Woods, 36 for Banks, 39 for McDonald. Like I would feel more comfortable knowing I get one of those 4 guys in the second round versus maybe taking one of them in the first round. I'd be okay with any of the 4.
Yeah, I think there will be some of those challenges. And I think we've seen this a ton, right? Like just from a mock draft standpoint, like we always start with those guys populating the bottom of the first round. And then it's rare that those guys go then, because it reminds me of Johnny Newton and all those guys when they came out. Yeah. He was always at the back end of the first round when we talked about it. Then he goes top of the second. That probably is the similar path for Banks and McDonald and those other guys. I just think you're going to find value in maybe potentially other positions before you get there. And because there's so much
like those are second round guys, man.
Yeah, there's so much uncertainty about what they're going to do and how they're going to impact the game as rotational or every down players. It'll probably lead you to go to another position.
So this is another thing I think people wouldn't know how it kind of goes down in the room. But when you're in the room, this is a nuanced conversation, but it is, hey, okay, say you had Banks as your guy, right? Well, then I'm not going to argue with you whether Banks is better than these guys. I'm going to argue with you and say, is the gap significant enough between these guys that we need to take Banks at 20 when I can get one of these other 3 guys at 40? Like, that's okay. That's right. You can say he's better. We can put him on the board higher, but I don't want to take him there. I'm going to get one of the other 3 guys that were just a little bit lesser version.
I feel like that's the thing when if you're in charge and you're like, hey, guy, look, I'm not going to fight you. Like, look, hey, put him up first, but we're not taking him. We're not taking him in the first round. He's up there, so we got it. Everybody good? Cool. He's up there, but we're not taking him because the cluster, and we talk about cluster busters and all that other things. We'll do this on Path where we put all these guys that are simply graded and we'll re-rank them in order. But we'll also look at that position in comparison to other positions and say, is the second best the difference between 2 and 3 at wide receiver bigger than the difference between all these guys at defensive tackle? Because if it's a bigger jump, let's make sure we attack this position wide receiver first and come back to the DTs because all these guys are about the same.
So the real life scenario I think teams are going to have in the back of 1 is if we want an offensive tackle, there's 7. Okay. After 7, it's a steep cliff when you get to the next guy. So do you want to be on the front of the D tackle group or do you want to be on the back of the offensive tackle? Because I can tell you right now, if you avoid the front of the D tackle group, more than likely we're still going to get a player, even if we get down to Durant, Halton, and those guys. Like we're going to have a guy where there's not. I mean, those guys might end up being better than that top group of DTs. But like, I'm fine if I end up on the back of that. But I'll tell you right now, I don't want to miss the train on the tackles because if I miss one of those first 7, I can't start these other guys after that next year.
Huge difference, and that's part of. We've talked about this, the horizontal board and the vertical board. That's part of why we look at it to see how those clusters fall out and where the ebbs and flows of the draft potentially could be. And yes, with all of those defensive tackles, I'm looking at the grades that I have. All of them have like similar grades.
They all kind of fall in there.
Yeah, they all kind of stack together. So you do have to make a decision with that. And we've already talked about the offensive tackle class, but there's definitely a lot to talk about when it comes to those things.
Yeah, well, there you go. We went a little longer on that one. I was talking to somebody at the Combine who said, man, I love your podcast. I listen on the treadmill every day. I said, well, we're not getting you in shape when we're giving you some of these shorter podcasts. So this one, we challenge them a little bit, like get out there, stay on that thing.
Yeah, that's right. Get your full 3-mile run in. Like don't short it. Don't put it on us.
Yeah, hey, not our fault. Us. We hit all the positions, right? We got the DTs, the edge, the linebackers, safeties, corners. So there's your defensive combine review there. All right. Anything you want to add before we get out of here, Buck?
No,
we're not doing the kickers, Gav. I'm not doing the kickers. Not watch
no kickers and punters.
Yeah. We'll get there. All right. That's going to do it for us. We appreciate you. We'll see you next time right here on Move the Sticks.